Hey there, it's Douglas Beck with the Growth Collective. In this video, we're uncovering the secret to closing 100 real estate deals a month using your database. I'll share how a well-organized database can transform your business, boost your deal flow, and unlock consistent closing. Stick around to see how this strategy works and how you can apply it in your business to grow to the next level. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can stay ahead with more insights on real estate investing and scaling your business online. Let's jump. We got to leverage other people in ways that will help us, make progress in each of those steps without having to know everything before you start taking those steps. And so, in other words, we started off at the close, which is where, start with the end in mind. The close, we talked about, the fact that the question to first ask is, am I going to close on this property and keep it? Am I going to close on it and sell it right after that? Am I going to do like a double close, or am I going to do something else? And if I'm closing on a property and if I'm trying to buy a property, I need to know how I'm going to buy it. How am I going to fund it? What am I going to do? What am I not going to do? What's someone else going to do? What are they not going to do? Where's the responsibility? So we talked about sort of breaking up the responsibilities into buckets, right? Of like purchase would be like, I need money to purchase. And then you've got run the project would be like, I need time and experience to run the construction, for example. And maybe it's about selling the property. I need to know who's going to sell it. Is it going to be me or a real estate agent? And if we break it into those three simple buckets, right? Investor, contractor, and agent, right? Then if we look at, who are we connected with, right? And this goes for our business as well. So my team that's here, and the question is, who are we connected with that are investors? Who are we connected with that are contractors? And who are we connected with that are agents? Each of those three buckets, if let's say all we have are just investors, right? And we have nobody to do construction, well, there's going to be less deals that can be done with just a bunch of investors and no construction. There's going to be less deals that can be done by us if we have just a bunch of investors, but then no agents to help sell those properties or manage those projects. And then if you break one more bucket into play, the investor bucket, break that into investors with deals, which we call wholesalers, and then investors with capital, which we call, financial partners or financial, providers, capital providers, lenders, private lenders. Those two buckets there, right? Deals and capital, they fall in the investor bucket. So even in that alone, if I have, let's say I'm wholesaling or looking to wholesale, if I've just got a bunch of deals, but I have no capital connection, well, I'm going to have overflow of deals, but no ability to sell or disposition those deals. And if I've just got capital connections, but I've got no deals, then we're not going to be able to bring those people that want to buy deals, any deals. On our team right now, we're going through our database, and I just did this exercise because I'm part of another community with a gentleman named Jay Scott. Some of you guys know Jay's done multifamily investing, and he's got his own mastermind community as well for apartments. And I joined as a member of that a couple months ago. I'm looking forward to being a part of that, and I'm part of it now. We did an exercise, I think, on Monday where we looked at our database and we said, who are we in connection with, right? And so it's really a reflection of who we're in connection with, kind of determines what that opportunity looks like for us to do certain kinds of deals. So when I looked at that and I said, if I look at my database and I say, who are we in connection with? How many people were we in connection with? When I did the math, and I think I did it pretty accurately, but the team can kind of tell me, we were just shy of about 9,500, like 9,400 and change connections that are in our warm database that are opted in email list as of right now, right? This is January 2025, 9,500 or so, on our list of our marketing list. And so that's 9,500 people that either have done or looking to do something with our company, which means I have 9,500 opportunities to do business, right? Basically with those individuals. But on that list of 9,500, we right now only know that about, I think 130 are accredited investors. So why does that matter? Well, accredited investors will help me open up the types of deals I could do with that network of investors to say, if there's a deal that requires someone to be an accredited investor, because let's say it's a syndicated deal, then I know I have to have the person who's in my list be an accredited investor for me to do the deal with them or have them come into the deal. And so the delta there is fairly large though, right? 9,500, 120, whatever it was. So we've got like 9,300 and something that we don't know, or at least most of those, we don't know if they're accredited or not. So what do you think the next step would be for us then? It's obviously to go find out if those 9,300 are in fact accredited or not accredited. How do we do that? Well, we had to send out a survey. So you'll probably see if you're on our list in the near, week or so here, 2 weeks, maybe max, a survey going out asking three simple questions, right? Which it's one question is kind of interesting. It's like, are you married, right? And it's not going to be like this question directly, like it's going to be in the email, but are you married? Because if someone's married, their income requirement has to be above what it would be if you were a single for you to be an accredited investor. So if you're married and you answer yes, and let's say your income is 200,000, actually that would not qualify you to be an accredited investor. You have to have at least $300,000 of household income as a married person, or you could have have net worth of $1 million, not including your primary residence. So when we look at how do we qualify an investor, it's going to be those three questions, or a couple of those questions would be really important. It's like, hey, how much is your income? Is it over 200,000? If it is, are you married? Yes or no? If you're married, then it needs to be 300. If you're not married, it needs to be at least 200, and expect it to be that much or more in the future here, in the near future. Or if you're not high income earner, you just have high net worth, that's $1 million, not including your primary residence. And that could be a simple solution, not having to require you to be, a certain income level. So when we look at that though, why does that matter so much? Well, it matters because there's going to be a correlation, right? I want you guys to, put your questions. I got a couple of folks here in the room, put your questions on this stuff in the chat. And I'm going to open up for questions too. But if we look at the correlation to the number of this one thing, which we're calling contacts, which are really number of investors, and we correlate that to the number of, and let's say the other word is closings, right? Closings, we want to get to closings. So if I correlate the number of investors and I say for every one investor I have, or let's say every 100 investors that I have, let's use easy and realistic math, maybe every 100 investors in my database, I can expect that I have the capacity to close maybe one deal on, let's say, 1 month basis. So like if I have 100 investors who I know crystal clear their preferences, and if I have, let's say, quote unquote, normal consistency of deal flow, out of every 100 investors that I have, I can count on maybe one deal closing. So now check this out. If that's the case, if those are the numbers I'm using, how many deals could I close with a database of just, let's say, 10,000? If it's one out of every 100, I take the 100 that's my base and I multiply that by 100 to get to 10,000. That's the number. It's 100 deals. So in theory, right, and not in practical, but soon to be hopefully practical, if we do a really good job of controlling our database and we close one out of every 100 people in our database on a deal on a monthly basis, we should be doing 100 deals a month. That sounds crazy probably for most people, but that's not crazy if you have the right numbers and the right process and the right methodology behind all this, right? So it's like saying, hey, I'm going to get really clear about my investors. I'm going to find out who they are, what they are, why they are that. I'm going to get really narrowed down focus. I want 100 really high quality leads in my database. And I can expect that if I bring those 100 really quality leads exactly what they're looking for, then on a monthly basis, I should be able to close at least one deal a month. Awesome. Then you say, well, what's one deal a month worth? And let's say we look at a wholesale flip as an example. And we say maybe a wholesale deal is worth 10 grand, $10,000 a month. All right. I hope this gave you some new ideas on how a well-organized database can help you close more deals and scale your real estate business. Remember, your database is more than just a list. It's your most valuable asset when used strategically. If you found this helpful, like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.